Hey guys, Spees here. Let's take a look at a Plaguefall 20 I did on my Shaman. I'm still kind of new on healing on my Shaman, so this was the first 20 I'd done on him, so I was a little nervous. Now, this was a pug group that I joined, so they didn't tell me anything. No one talked, so I wasn't sure if they were going to skip at the beginning, but I noticed they were, so hit my potion, follow everyone. Now, even though it was a pug, the tank and two DPS were in a group together. They're in the same guild, so it wasn't a true 5 people didn't know each other, so I'm sure the 3 of them were talking. So our tank goes in and gathers up all these slimes, and I forgot to drop my Cloudburst totem before going nuts with Vesper, so don't do that. Now, at this point, I realized that all 3 DPS are melee. I thought the Shaman was going to be elemental and range, but I realized they're all 3 melee, so that's going to be fun later. We pulled the first lieutenant here. Now, because I forgot to drop my Cloudburst the last pull, everyone went in kind of low on health, so I always felt like I had to catch up here. Drop my Cloudburst, get ready for the next big AoE. Now, this is a fortified week, so I decided to pop my Ascendants just to try to get everyone's health up.
Stack.
To the victor goes the anima. Claim your power.
And it was a fortified week. Just pop the Ascendants now. It will be up again for either the bosses or harder pulls later.
Ads.
Shockwave.
Ads.
In a pull like this, it was nice that the 3 people in the group were all probably in a voice comp together, so they were stopping all the ads pretty nicely. I do remember got a little hairy near the end of this pull.
Dodge. Ads.
The monk is the person not in the group. He's also a pug too, so he threw down a ring of peace, clutch ring of peace there.
Ads.
So at this point, this mob doesn't do much damage to the party, so I'm just in full DPS mode, trying to help kill this fortified guy as quickly as possible.
Ads. Ads.
I keep looking back to see if the ads are coming, but
Dodge.
This pull is not as hairy as the first one. So like I said, I wasn't in group chat. They weren't saying anything in party chat either, so I'm just a healer following everyone along. I realized they are going to do the strategy of pull the red slime to the boss. Now, I make a mistake on this pull. See if you can see what it is.
Dodge. Front.
Whoops.
Dodge.
I totally went into drop Vesper mode and just DPS and didn't realize that the mob was facing towards me. They also pulled the bird in this group, which is another frontal. So this pull is actually pretty dangerous on a 20 fortified.
Avoid.
That's why I reincarnated right away, because people can die on this pull really easily.
Dodge.
There's a lot of stuff that can kill you. There's the monk getting hit by a frontal by something. I think I dropped Healing Tide at some point in this pull. Right there. To just try to... There was a lot of people were low in health and had grievous stacks, and I just wanted to make sure no one else died, because I already made a mistake and died. Now here's the pull. We have to keep this red slime alive and kite it up to the boss. We have to kill the other mob in the pool. Now, if you don't know this strat, when you kill this red slime, it leaves red goo on the ground. If someone's a Necrolord, right? They can use their Covenant ability to suck up the goo on the ground. Doesn't suck it up, but they get a power from the goo on the ground. And it basically makes them radiate a bloodlust, so everyone gets 25% haste. But if you also stand in the goo, you also get the 25% haste. But of course, that's going to hurt you. But then if you also bloodlust on top of that, that's 3 bloodlusts on top of each other. Of course, the group's going to take a lot of damage, but that's 3 bloodlusts tied up on top of each other. So you're pumping. And this boss sucks. Luckily, it's a fortified week and not a tyrannical week, so he doesn't suck that bad. But after he does his big AoE, I decide to not stand in the goo no more, just so I'm not taking any more damage. I popped my Ascendants there right at the start because I knew everyone was going to take damage for standing in the goo. They're going to take damage from the knockback and disease it puts on you. And we just melt this boss. Like, now this boss is scary on Tyrannical, but on Fortified with all the buffs we had, he just melts.
Knock.
So.
Debuff.
And because the boss died so quick, and I just bursted out all my healing at the beginning, a sweet 9.1k healing on that boss.
That was a mere taste of
Now, this pool is scary for a healer on Fortified Weeks. These green slimes radiate a dot that put on melee, and it stacks. And on Fortified, it sucks. And with Grievous also stacking, that also sucks. So I threw down a Spirit Link. Now, I don't know, because I'm still kind of new to Shaman healing, that if Spirit Link is a good idea on Grievous Weeks. I mean, use it if it's going to save people's lives, but then it drops everyone to low health, and now they all have Grievous. But I knew this pool was going to be scary with 3 melee, because then the 3 melee and the tanks all have this huge dot stacking on them. This,
Clear.
this little line of trash pools are probably the scariest on a Fortified week. This and then the ones right before the last boss. But those green slimes are scary as hell. As you can see, I'm low mana from the boss and coming into this pool. So I think at some point I dropped Mana Tide.
Interrupt.
No, I'm still holding it right now. Now, here's the other scary pool in here. And spoiler alerts, we do have some trouble with it. Now, there's these little guys that get pulled into this pool that don't do a lot.
Avoid.
But when they get low health, they run away. And if they run towards other groups, they can pull them. Spoiler alert, I think that's what happens here.
Dodge.
Now, already dying to the big guy's frontal on an earlier pull, I was making sure that did not happen again.
Avoid. Dodge.
See, there goes the guy running to the left. I think that's the guy that screwed us. There he goes. What he did is he pulled another group of those green slimes. That's just going to crush melee. And at this point, I expended all my healing cooldowns, and I was low on mana, so it was not a good time. I did drop a healing tide totem there, but it was just too little. I probably should have popped Ascendance. I didn't realize it was up. So, like I said, no one was communicating. And what happens if you wipe there, you have to go back to the start. Which, if you don't have your visible pot up or have a stealth, could be bad. Now, the tank did say, hey, guys, don't release, I'll res you, but I've already released at that point. And I had my potion up, so I figured I could just run back and res everyone as the healer. Just watching everyone run back. Tank decided he can just take on this one guy by himself while I'm resin, to save a little bit of time. But what sucks about that is right when everyone res, they ran and got in combat. Because they're all low health, because I just res them. They all got the Grievous stacks. And kind of stressed me out a little bit, but just went in, just pumped shaman heals, got everyone up. Everyone's more aware that all these little guys can run away. So I dropped capacitor, the monk drop ring of peace to bounce the guy into the capacitor for a combo. Now on to the easiest lieutenant.
More test subjects. Unleash the plague borders.
I mean, all this guy
AoE.
does is the big AoE once in a while, and then he sucks everyone
Run
in.
away.
You just gotta break the chains. Normally, I just don't have to do that much healing on this guy, but because it puts Grievous stacks on everyone, then they start taking more damage. And oh yeah, I forgot the one guy, the
AoE.
monk, who's not part of the 3 stack, did not run out, or he ran in too early or something.
Run away.
Great.
Oopsies. The tank decided not to battle res him. We didn't really need him. We're gonna kill. It's an easy lieutenant. We probably
AoE.
just don't need to waste a battle res on something that we didn't need him up for.
Take the beast's power. You will need it for the dangers
So-
ahead.
Always like it when DPS or tanks grab the one dead so the healer can drink. Next few rules are pretty standard. Though I think someone died to one of the blasts from the mobs. I think on this first pull, if I remember correctly. Who died? That must have been the second guy. I thought someone died to one of the ads that run out. Maybe that's something that happened later.
I will dissect you myself.
Let's drop my Vesper Totem for some DPS.
Debuff. Avoid.
I didn't realize the one guy ran down to pull the ads of the next group. And it scared me when all these ads came
Interrupt.
running up behind me. I was
Interrupt.
like, what the hell?
Interrupt.
But now I wasn't even sure if
Interrupt.
I had aggro on this guys, but it's always good that if you think you have aggro on
Interrupt.
yourself, to run to the tank or run the ads through the tank so we can pick up aggro. So that's what I did there.
Avoid.
Like I said, it just kind of snuck up behind me. Those ads are way at the bottom of the stairs. So I realized pretty quickly someone pulled them, but I had no idea if they were aggroed on me. So I just ran through the tank. Now, they decided to pull this
Interrupt.
group.
Clear.
Which I didn't know if they were going to do the strat of leave the red slime on the ground for the boss. and do what we did for the first boss. Everyone stand in it. But they did something a little different. And I guess they did it because it was Fortified Week. They decided to use the buff on the lieutenant and the next group. So right now, the Nectar Lord picked up the buff. So I can see on our party frames all the way on the right. If you stand near that person, you get like a haste buff. You get the bloodlust haste buff. We use it to blow up the lieutenant.
Interrupt.
Now, I realized I'm the only ranged person, so I have to stand at range and bait these fire swirls.
Dispel.
Usually if there's other range, as a healer, I can go in and stand in melee, so I don't have to keep moving, and I can focus on healing, but was not an option. Because I'm pretty sure if all 5 people are in melee, he just drops the fire puddles in melee, so don't want that to happen.
Move. Interrupt.
Well fought. Now claim its power as your own.
Still new to the shaman, so I don't know which power is the best to pick there. I always take the haste one because, you know, more haste is always good. But it doesn't really matter because the effects is changing next week. So, I was surprised that they pulled this group with the boss. But we still had the haste buff from the Nectar Lord. So, it just melted pretty quickly. But I still had to be on my toes to make sure not to stand in front of the big guy or the spikes that come up from below.
Watch your step.
If you don't know, when this guy jumps around, the 4 pillars that come out from him come out the way he's facing and behind and left and right of him. So you just got to see which way he jumps, then you can know where the cross is coming out. This is probably the easiest boss in this instance. The first and the last boss are definitely the 2 hardest. The middle 2 are the easiest 2 by far.
AOE incoming.
So we lust on this phase just to blow up the ads and then go back to the boss.
Dodge.
Watch your step.
Luckily, this is not tyrannical, or that cross would have killed me. Also, my weak order telling me that, hey, we ran out of curing bottles, so summoned my steward to give me another set of 3.
Soon.
This experiment has an explosive result!
AOE incoming.
Let's add an accelerant, shall we?
Watch your step.
So this boss doesn't really do too much damage if everyone plays properly. The only kind of damage people would take is the cross. And
avoid.
We CC'd the extra ad he spawned, so they weren't doing any damage, so I mainly could focus on DPS that boss.
So you emerge victorious.
Now, I'm usually used to the tanks pulling some of the guys on the island across and DPSing it down, but I guess now looking at it that if you pull extra guys, they can drop Sanguine underneath the tentacle. The tank realized that and actually bumped the slime out of the way so his Sanguine wouldn't drop. But I was wondering why he didn't do that initially, but now looking back, it makes sense.
Watch your feet.
This pool's usually scary, but this group melted it pretty quickly. I have my Cloudburst going. I did not have Vesper up for this. we have to pull some mobs because we skipped some at the beginning. I wasn't particularly ready for this pull, but hey, I just followed the tank around and trust he knows what he's doing.
The Mars dark magic coalesces here. Remove it.
I thought at first they were going to skip this guy, and I was like, what? But no, they just wanted to pull him down the hill a little bit.
Dodge.
You do not want to be... If you skip this guy, when you face the last boss, everyone has 50% less movement speed, and you need to be able to run around the last boss. So that's why I was kind of surprised at first.
Dodge. Dodge.
I almost let that shaman die. I was just like, let's get some DPS in. And he just dropped out of nowhere.
Ads.
Once again, because we
Ads.
skipped mobs at the beginning, we have to make up the percent elsewhere. So they decided to pull this group.
Ads. Avoid. CC.
Now, something scary happened here. So all these little spiders got knocked down there. And I was afraid they were just going to jump up. So I just popped my defensive, but they didn't jump to me. Or they just walked up and everyone killed them. But as a healer, those spiders when they come out, always seem to like to jump to me. So I always get scared when I see those spiders up for too long.
Ads. Avoid. CC.
Wow. I just looked at the monk's DPS and he is pumping. He decided to keep the pumping going into this pool. That's what happens when you pump too hard.
Ads. Avoid. CC.
That's what happens if you don't kill those spiders in time. They jump around, and then wherever they land, they splash an AoE damage. And because everyone's melee, they're all standing next to each other, so it was scary.
Add.
I did not have my capacitor totem up.
Avoid.
I was wondering why I didn't do that at the time. After that happened in the pool, I was like, did I have capacitor totem? So someone else got the res. I can take a little drinky.
You will not stop me. I will slay you where you stand.
Now this boss used to be harder and he got nerfed. So this boss is really not that scary for a healer now. A little bit more scarier on tyrannical weeks, but not tyrannical, so I was mostly in DPS mode. The only thing I have to watch out for is whoever gets the little circle around them, they just take a little chunk of damage. But it's usually not that bad.
A single scratch is all it will take.
Other than that, the ads can throw out some dots on people that used to never go away before, but they nerfed it that it eventually falls off. Now at this point, I remember I have Rock Elemental. I It's something I need to remember to use more because not only does Rock Boy also throw out a little bit of DPS,
Stack.
not a lot, but you know it's more than nothing. But I have the conduit that says when he's out, I have more health. So he's also like a little defensive cooldown that lasts a minute. So it's like a minute of 30% more health. I should have used that on like the first boss when right at the beginning when everyone was taking damage, just to make sure I have more health.
Is all it will take.
So
I will slay you where you stand.
Ads.
and just watching this back, that's my biggest takeaway. Is just remember to use some of the
Stack.
utility and defensive stuff a
Debuff.
little bit more often. I could be using Rock Boy more often. I could be using Astral Shift more often to take less damage. I'm not using Capacitor Totem that much because I'm always afraid on Sanguine weeks that if I Capacitor at the wrong time, Sanguine drops and then they're stunned in it. So, but normally, if I'm in a pug, I'll just drop it off at the pool.
We've been
Or not long after the pull, just so all the mobs aren't beating on the tank. So, this is the other scary pull on a fortified week. All these little guys, they hit like trucks. And everyone's melee, so as they're running in there and they're blasting, if they accidentally pull aggro, it's just going to turn around and truck them. Even the tank, it's like, I'm not standing still and letting these guys beating on me. He's kiting them around. No, what happens is the little mini boss got stuck in a sanguine. Is it healing him now? Not healing him. Maybe he's just not in the sanguine. So.
Minions, time to feed.
Oh, now he's in a sanguine. It's not a good time.
Buff.
Turn around, it's like, oh my god, there's still an ad up from the group before.
Minions, time to feed.
After we killed the mini boss, we still needed some
Mother of legs comes.
some percent. So we went back and pulled the goos, and once again, there's a red goo in there, so someone can pick up the lust buff from it. But it's still a little scary because there's a green goo in there that just trucks the melee. Drop Vesper to get the Vesper DPS and the healing saved into the Cloudburst. Scary because everyone still had the dot on them from the green slime. Running through the green goo on the ground hurts you. And of course, the Demon Hunter has got to go fast and ran so far ahead of me. I thought he was going to die.
My pride and my doom.
Add.
Avoid this fate.
Once the ad pops up, I
Watch
drop
your
step.
Vesper, so I can also get the Vesper totem on the ad.
My house waits with blood.
Avoid. Add.
You cannot avoid this fate. My house waits
Avoid.
blood.
This is another boss that's been nerfed. When he goes into, when
Avoid.
the boss goes underground, used to do 3 sets of tentacles, now it's only 2.
Spreads. It cannot
Shaman died at some point. I didn't realize that. He
Add.
got the Necrolord. I'm a zombie.
Avoid.
Plus in
Your
like
step.
8 seconds. He must have died to one of the little ads. Must have ran up and punched him. No, stay in the healing range.
Avoid. Avoid.
Now the final phase of the boss. No more big ads, but the boss just goes into AoE mode plus the tentacles at the same
Watch
time.
your step.
But luckily the tentacles didn't spawn right on top of me, so I could stay still and keep healing.
Avoid.
A victory well earned.
And there we go.
None of the weapons in
My
Zoval's
first ever
arsenal
20 on my
can
shaman
match
is
you.
also a success. So, hope everyone liked that. And hopefully more videos with my shaman in the future.